All right, boys. Well, round 13's in the books, and we're already working our way through round 14. We got a lot to talk about. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends this week who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight is Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below, that's Sean. He supports Tottenham. And, of course, without fail, I hit the record button, and that's Fox the cat you hear yelling in the background. I don't know how he just knows to start screaming right when I press the record button, but here we are. Boys, how are you guys doing?
I'm feeling let's see. I am feeling on par. On par with somebody that I didn't think I'd be on par with.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. That's very interesting. I'm feeling on par with a whole bunch of teams that I didn't think I was going to be on par with. How about that?
Oh. All right.
Just different teams, though. Different sections of the table.
Yes.
You're with the kids.
Well, if you're new here, if you just stumbled across us, first and foremost, thank you so much for clicking this video or this podcast. We do really appreciate it. If you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell if you're on YouTube, if you're on one of the podcast sites, hit it with a follow, 5-star review, whatever the things that your platform so allows. We would really appreciate it if you do those things, and most importantly, watch to the end and or hit that share button. Those are the things that really do help the algorithm and really do help us continue to grow this podcast. We do really appreciate all those things, and word of mouth, all of you guys who have been talking about us to people you know, we really, really do appreciate that as well. So without further ado, round 13. This was a wild one, if I'm being completely honest. A couple really big what appeared to be on paper really big fixtures. We had Liverpool City, we had Chelsea Villa, and there were some good ones. But we're starting first at the Molineux, Wolves Bournemouth, and the reason I think why at least I want to start here is maybe a bit of an apology on my behalf, and or you know how we get. But a few years ago with me, it was Brighton. And I had just like blinders on against Brighton. And for recently, it's been Bournemouth. Like I said, I think a few weeks ago or something, I've been ready to relegate Bournemouth for many years now. And Bournemouth are flying. They beat Wolves 4-2 at the Molineux. And where should we expect Bournemouth to finish this year?
They're playing like a top 10 team. Now they aren't currently.
Yeah.
And the top 10 is getting crowded.
Absolutely.
With Brighton and Forest playing better than they should be, and United, you would say they would need to be playing better, but Fulham have been playing very well. Newcastle are playing a little below where they need to be. Tottenham have been playing a little lower than they need to be, and so the top 10 is crowded. But I feel like they could sneak into a 10th. They've just been playing with that kind of. I mean, heck, they've already taken. 3 points off of Tottenham and Arsenal at
City,
Vitality?
And City.
And City at Vitality. So
yeah.
That's 9 points that they didn't think they were going to get at the beginning of the season. So, or maybe they did think they were going to get it. So, yeah. I mean, what do I know?
9 points we didn't think they were going to get at the beginning of the season.
9 points we didn't think they were going to get. Yeah.
Well, you're shaking your head, Brad.
I mean, the best of the mid-table a lot, and like, because we don't think Forest is hanging in 6th. Again, we didn't think Bournemouth was picking up 9 points, but I don't think Forest is going to hang in that 6th spot. Brentford's probably going to calm down. Fulham is probably going to come down. So, like, out of those 4 teams, they might be in the correct order right now as Forest, Brentford, Fulham, Bournemouth. Make the argument. I'm thinking about it. Sorry, I changed my mind. I would probably do Forest, Brentford, Bournemouth, Fulham. Even though Bournemouth, I think, played very exciting football, and I think.
And we're also forgetting Villa, who are down in 12th.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation about Villa, but
yeah,
yeah. I think what Bournemouth have going for them is is what you were saying, Brad. Their style of football. They play really attractive football. They're in your face. They don't back down. They're going for it. They're trying to score goals. They've got really flashy players who are creative and go after it. And I think that really does help us to appreciate them more. And so maybe that's why I have a higher opinion of them than their table position states. But you would imagine, yeah, to your point, like Forest are going to drop down a little bit. They're not going to finish above Tottenham. United will probably finish above Forest, especially their recent form makes you think that they'll probably turn a corner. Newcastle, I don't know what we should think about Newcastle. Brighton up in fourth, like that's a doozy.
To your point about Bournemouth playing the attractive football, especially given the fandoms of yours and I's, James. When a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to try to find it because it was a few weeks ago. There was a heat map of how much space each team gives the opposing team in different parts of the map, or different parts of the pitch, and Tottenham's was red all over, which means they give them no space at any point of the field. And Arsenal's was the same except for the back half, which is a little unfair. You've had 3 red cards in 3 different games. A little unfair because you're gonna play back in that situation. But the rest of the field was the same, and City's was roughly the same as ours. And the only other team that was also mostly red the rest of the field was Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They just play a very similar style. And Chelsea's was not far behind. I think they were largely light blue, mostly light red. Yeah. You're playing very similar ball as the rest of us, as far as just keeping pressure on the other team, no matter where you are on the field.
Hey, I wonder why James and I play very similar football. We couldn't have gotten assistant managers from the same coaching tree. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you Ange is from the City coaching tree as well. He's from the City group,
yeah.
So he probably went to a seminar of Pep's or something like that.
I'm sure.
When everybody gets called back to the motherland and they all have to go for a seminar.
Yeah.
Weekend seminar.
You get called to the corporate. You get corporate office in Abu Dhabi. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I think Bournemouth is one to keep an eye on. I also think Wolves are going to need to start stringing together a lot of points here. We had talked a couple weeks ago about how they had one of the hardest 10-game stretches. They had the hardest first 10 games in the league, and then after that, you were expecting them to get some points. And in their first 2 games, they won, and now they've lost to Bournemouth. And so that leaves them still sitting in the relegation zone, though they're only 2 points off Everton, whom they play next. They're probably playing right now, or just after you're watching this. If you're listening to this relatively soon to when we release this podcast, the Wolves and Everton match is happening on Wednesday, midweek fixture. So it's possible that's on right now. And so you kind of look at that and you're like, Wolves need to kind of win these matches, get themselves out of the relegation zone, kind of pull themselves out, or Gary O'Neill's gonna need to be looking for a new job. Speaking of managers who might soon need to be looking for a new job, how long do Aston Villa let Unai Emery just completely disregard the Premier League?
I mean, like, he has them in Champions League. He had them in Europe. Like,
he's not going to be in the Champions League or the Europa League next year with the way they're playing in the league. Because you're talking about, like, for them to be in Europe next year, they have to win the Champions League.
Probably, which probably isn't happening. I get that
because there's no drop downs anymore.
Correct. So there's no drop.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't perform in the Champions League, there is no Europa parachute for third.
Which is really nice for us. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think that makes
it's great for us.
Yeah, like our two clubs without the drop
Yeah.
downs from above, like
Yeah, we're good.
I mean,
Chilling.
I,
No Barcelona coming down.
Yeah.
No Dortmund.
Jose Mourinho talked about this many years ago, and he was 100% accurate and 100% correct when he was complaining about the fact that the teams that win the Europa League are always the ones that, most of the time, are the ones that drop out of the Champions League. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that they have gotten rid of it.
yes, but I mean, Villa will figure like.
Well, but let me.
Unai has built that team to be Unai's team.
Okay, but let me put it to you this way. Villa, okay, we are only 13 games into the season. I fully admit that there is not enough football has been played for me to be making these claims. But this is a podcast, and damn it, we need to have conversations.
That's what we do.
And so Villa are currently 12th. They need to better
fair,
and get in front of. Okay.
To be fair, they are 3 points off of 7th.
Agreed. But the number of teams that are ahead of them, they have to get ahead of Newcastle United, Fulham, Manchester United, Brentford, and Tottenham in order to get into a Conference League spot.
You mean 6th, right, Sean? Because they're 1 point from 7th.
No, because I can.
True, they are 1 point from 7th.
I can do math, and 3 plus 19 is 22, which would put them level with Nottingham Forest, and their goal differential would put them behind. And since I can do math, that would make them 7th.
Dang.
Wow.
All right.
I didn't think I was going to need to break that down.
Point
but
taken.
I gave you the correct prognostication.
Hey, while you're watching this, I'm hoping Bournemouth just smashed 2 goals against Tottenham right now. Mess up that goal differential a little bit.
Semenyo from outside the box.
Who's
twice.
injured.
Yeah. Oh, is he injured?
Yeah.
Oh, we might win. We might win. Oh, we're gonna win. We actually just did win. We just did.
So
just
my question to you, Sean, then you're basically saying Unai's fine. He's got them right where they're in striking distance.
Look, and when you look, I actually got fooled by this. I was just saying, man, Villa's going to be really tired by the end of the season. And then I looked at the two rosters, and they do look very similar, but he is rotating 5 to 6 players between the league and between Europe. And they're not, you shouldn't, those 10 that he's rotating, you shouldn't expect too much of a drop off. So he doesn't have 11 that he can rotate, but he's got 5 or so dependable, reliable substitutions that he can swap out midweek and swap back on the weekend. In his case, he's swapping out on the weekend and then swapping back on the week. Yeah, so to your point, but you would expect them to be able to get results. We're not talking about dropping off from a established Premier League player to an 18-year-old. They're decent. We're talking about playing Duran or like McGinn or like we're talking about decent players here. We're not.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not a large drop off.
But they've picked up 2 points out of the potential 15 in their last 5 games in the Premier League.
That's really not excusable, but
that's not good. Their points. They got shellacked by Tottenham. They got beaten by Liverpool, and they got shellacked by Chelsea. Now, granted, when you say that, you lose to Tottenham, you lose to Liverpool, you lose to Chelsea. Aston Villa might kind of expect that. Like if you look at okay, let me take that back. Aston Villa doesn't expect that, but a third-party observer, when you just look at it on paper, you might say those are reasonable losses. They drew against Crystal Palace and they drew against Bournemouth.
They were also away for all 3 of those games. They were at Tottenham. They were at 3 Point Lane. They were at Anfield, and they were at the Bridge.
Yeah, that's fair.
So sure, maybe you're expecting a point, but the difference between 1 point,
So am I reading too much into this?
I think so. Honestly, I think this is something to revisit in a couple of weeks to see if this is still what's happening. As we head into that new year, sure. I don't think his seat is the hottest though.
Certainly not.
I think if we get to Boxing Day and he's still in 12th, there's maybe a conversation, but you still are you really, as Aston Villa, are you really going to fire the manager that just got you into Champions League, or are you going to give him a chance to right the ship?
I don't know. I mean, Aston, their managers or excuse me, their owners like expect a lot out of them and expect them to be challenging for the Champions League, honestly. Like realistically, the way that they've invested and like what they expect out of that team. And like you heard them talking about this after they sold Grealish to City a couple years ago. It's like, yeah, well, we're going to take that money and we're going to invest and we're going to get 3 players for Grealish. And like they expect a lot out of that team. And so
would it not be a, before we move on, would it not be a reasonable retort for Unai to say, all right, you make a great point, board, that you have invested a lot of money. We are almost there. You can use that Champions League money that you just got to provide me with a durable 22 that I can successfully attack 4 different competitions at one time. Right now we're not there, but we're getting there. And the Champions League money helps.
Sure, but what happens when they're not in the Champions League next year? When they're not in Europe at all?
They're not going to be. But that's something that Unai can point to say, okay, I got you the Champions League money. Use that to give me a 22 that can rotate. Then next year, if I don't make the Champions League again, then you've got, okay, then we can have a different discussion. But
this is kind of like the Newcastle problem, though. Is that like
that is the Newcastle problem? It's the exact Newcastle problem.
Newcastle made it to the Champions League, and now
didn't have the depth. Didn't have the depth to do it.
And now Newcastle, a year on from missing out, they're sitting right there next to Villa in 11th and 12th, and so Newcastle.
To be fair, they only missed out because United won the FA Cup. They did qualify for Europe. They just were not. They were kicked out of it.
Fair.
Sure, but does anybody remember that?
United fans.
No. United fans are going to remember it forever.
Of course they do, but like
Newcastle
what I'm saying
fans.
is like, dude,
I'm going to remember it.
But are those owners going to care?
No. Of course not. Yeah, absolutely not.
Like you let yourself out of that cup. Cool, you should have won the cup then.
Sure.
Right. So
if we turn the conversation slightly away from Villa though to Chelsea, who won the match, who won 3-0, beat Aston Villa.
Yes.
Brad, Chelsea are third.
What?
They're tied for equal on points. They're equal on everything with Arsenal for second.
How funny is that?
I don't know why Arsenal are listed second and Chelsea are listed third.
It's alphabetical.
Is it alphabetical or is it fair play? It can't be fair play. We have like 1,000 red cards.
Yeah,
No.
it's alphabetical because on mine it's listed 1, 2, 2, 4.
We have an astronomical amount of yellow cards, sir. We are setting records for this.
Time out. Sean, can you tell me the order it's listed in again?
1, 2, 2, 4.
1. Where's third?
2. Where's third, Sean?
It's Chelsea.
No, that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like
it sounds like we're second. Yeah.
And there's no third.
Yes, listen. It depends on what. If you're fourth in this situation, you're third.
Nope.
If you're second in this position, you're still second.
So
that's how this works.
You're
just objectively wrong. so Chelsea are playing really well.
Which this is an interesting conversation for us to have, right? Because the perspective of Chelsea is that, hey, Chelsea are having a great season. We're clicking. We're doing the things we're supposed to be doing. We're winning games we're supposed to be losing, and we're not losing the games that we expected to lose, right? Like we're getting the draws.
Yeah.
But we flip it and reverse it, and the same record, the same points, the same goals scored, and Arsenal's like, what the heck?
Yeah. So I saw this on Twitter the other day. Some City fan was talking about how, Arsenal fans are so excited. They're like, Arsenal having a great season, and they're only 2 points ahead of City, and we're having a terrible season. I'm like, brother, like, if you ask Arsenal fans, at least me, I think we're having a really bad season. Like, I think
ask Robbie.
Yeah, I think
ask Robbie.
What does Don Robbie say? But I would say that our season has been very bad so far this season, and like I am thankful and I'm glad that we're still second. But like, I don't think that we've had a good start to the season. I think the start to our season has been very bad actually, and so. I figured that was what you were bringing up. I think it's really intriguing as well. If you look at the goals scored, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea all have the same number of goals scored.
Yes.
Now Tottenham, of course, are higher. Tottenham
There
are
has
higher.
somebody that
Yeah,
scored
yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah. Tottenham have more. Okay, calm down. But I just thought that was intriguing when I saw it.
They just also have more losses too, so you know.
True, yeah. More losses.
A lot.
A
More
lot.
losses.
A lot. Yes.
Y'all took like the electoral college approach to this, in that we lose small, win big. That's how
I don't.
y'all either win
don't think-
y'all either win 4-0 or y'all lose 1-0. Like there is no middle ground, or 2-1.
We lost 3-2 one time.
Oh,
to
3-2.
Palace,
My
or
bad.
to Brighton.
So realistically,
Emirates.
Brad, Enzo
Yes.
Maresca has come out this week after the game and said, "No, we're not in a title chase." What are they just tampering expectations? Are they just trying to calm everyone down, or like what are Chelsea's like? What can Chelsea do this year?
Yeah, he's 100% managing expectations. I know predictions. I'm going to pick Chelsea to win the league, but I think a relative a responsible prediction would have been, we're making Europa, like bare minimum was Europa because we won the Conference League. But fighting for fourth, fighting for Champions League should have been on the table. And now it's seeming like, well, maybe we're not fighting for fourth. Maybe we might be able to come for third or second, depending on how like things shake out. Right? Like we won't be the last team into the Champions League, it feels like.
I mean, I think we kind of all expect City to not be fifth. So, I mean, that was an incredible shoulder shrug.
Rodri's done for the year. They are not the same team without him, and they can't seem to replace him. So, who's to expect they're going to be any better?
Do we think?
Hey, don't forget January's coming, and Abu Dhabi got the money from some sponsor that they just made up. They're gonna fund $100 million.
I'm just saying, they have not given me a reason since Rodri went down to believe that they can be any better than they currently are.
You were giving Arsenal a really hard time for looking really bad without Martin Odegaard. And you said a team can't fall apart if you're just missing one player.
That's true. So now I'm looking at City the same way of like, is everybody else really that? Is everybody else in that? Is Ake really that good, or does he just have Rodri in front of him?
Interesting.
Or like, are these players really that good then? So maybe Ben White's not very good because when Odegaard's not there, he's not very good. That's what I'm saying. Is the rest of your team maybe isn't that great, because if Odegaard is the one that makes the team better, like everybody better, then is that really a good? Are the players really good around him? If they can't win without him.
I think that's a fair thing to talk about, but I also think it's important to recognize that certain players, and especially in the midfield with like Rodri, like he does so much more than just
Odegaard
pass good and stuff like that too. Yeah, Odegaard's the same way. A lot of the play goes through them, and or he's cutting out a lot of the play. But I didn't say that to get into a conversation about a single player. I just brought it up because I thought it was.
You want to go into it? I'll go into it. I'll tell you, Saka's not good because I'm just kidding. No, he's the only one. He's the only one doing anything on your team since Odegaard went out.
I think he has 10 assists so far this season.
It's just like what
he does. I just looked at it.
He just decided, I'm all right. Odegaard's out. I'm just going to take over the team. Yeah. So I got nothing to complain about Saka this year.
10 assists, 5 goals. That's pretty decent through 13 games so far.
From a winger position too, but like 10 assists from not a central midfield location.
What's up?
How does this keep happening? Who has the most clean sheets in the Premier League right now through 13 rounds? Go look at it. Just take a guess.
Ederson.
Just take a guess. You saw it. I know James saw it.
Is it Raya again?
Take a guess. It's not Raya.
It's even more funny.
It's hilarious.
You're gonna laugh when you.
Is it Onana?
Yeah, of course it is.
My God.
Our eyeballs are deceiving us yet again, right?
All right, let's turn.
How is he a trash can? And they still. Oh my God! All right,
let's finish this out. Top of the table clash: Liverpool versus City. This has been the big rivalry in English football for the last
Whoa, whoa,
5 or
whoa.
6 years. What?
Oh, this is first versus fifth, sir. This isn't top of the table clashing here.
I mean, seems like it was at the time top of the table clashing.
We're back.
We apologize for slight technical mishap. It seems like our communication software went down for a second. But we were talking about this Liverpool and City game, excuse me. And I admit, Brad, it wasn't first versus. It's not first versus second anymore. But it was.
It
was. It was when the game took place.
Yeah.
What should we take? There's multiple things that we need to look at in this game. First off, Liverpool. How good are Liverpool? Second off, what's going on with City? What do you guys want to tackle first?
Look, that's like they.
How good are Liverpool?
Yeah,
Let's tackle that one because we just talked about Rodri. So
Yeah,
I think honestly they just nailed the midfield signings that was hampering them for a little bit of time. So when we bring in McAllister and Szoboszlai, and that just kind of shores up, and they still probably need that Fabinho, that kind of role. They probably still need one of those. Although they kind of seem like they rotate around that. And then let the 10 or who's the other midfielder that they use? Gravenberch. So Gravenberch plays that role, I guess, more. Either way, it just seems like the three of them will rotate. And none of them are uncomfortable being that. And so it just seems to keep Van Dijk out of uncomfortable situations. And as long as Van Dijk's comfortable, he's going to make every stop he needs to.
I think this is. I don't disagree with anything you're saying, Sean. I think we really. And to your point about the midfield signings, this is the second year running where they've had essentially the same team. They're playing essentially the same style of football, even though it's a different manager. I think it was an unlooked for masterstroke on the side of FSG because they did chase other managers before they went with Slot, but the fact that they've gotten Slot and he's just slotted in. It's worked out tremendously well for them that the style is the same. The team has been the same this is the second year. The midfield is gelling. The attack is gelling. The defense is as resolute as it has been in recent years. I think we would have seen the same thing if Klopp was still the manager, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think it would have been any different if Klopp was still the manager. I think it would have been exactly the same.
Yeah. I agree.
And this isn't not meant to be like a slight at Slot or a slight at Klopp or anything like that, but like 2 years running, same group of guys, they're achieving results that I think we would have expected them to.
I think it also speaks to a testament of you put good players in front of a decent manager and they become a great manager. I think the margin of error between a great manager and a solid manager is the team. That's why it surprises me so much when Jose Mourinho goes to Roma and he still wins.
Yeah,
it's those are the outliers where you have your Ancelotti and he goes to the top club in a league and he wins and everybody praises him. Well, that's all good. I mean, Pep can do that and Jose was doing that for a while, and then you give a decent manager the best roster in the league, he's going to win every year.
Yeah.
So when Jose goes to Roma and he wins anyway, then okay, that's pretty impressive.
Sounds like you're trying to drop some statistics on us, Brad.
Oh, so I'm looking at it, right? They have one of the most consistent starting lineups there is.
Yep.
Like,
haven't had an injury yet.
10 out of the 11 players have played all the games.
Well, they're missing
Alisson is
Alisson.
out.
Yeah, Alisson's missed a bunch of games.
Alisson's the one.
Alisson's missed half, but Kelleher has
Your
been a fine deputy. Like,
goalkeeper's pretty important.
But Kelleher is not an unbloodied player, right? It's not like you're throwing. Like, he's had game time because Alisson's been more injury prone.
It's not.
No, Alisson's only got injured once. He's bloodied because Klopp refused to take him out of cup games. he let that man go all the way to finals. You should know that.
Allison was hurt.
You were in a 11 penalty. Kelleher took a penalty shot, and so did Kepa. Or who? You guys went to a 12 on a penalty shootout with Kelleher.
Allison was hurt last year too, and Kelleher got minutes. And this year he's been like this is like the second year that Allison's been out hurt.
Okay,
for some
but
time.
that's been an
like,
anomaly the last 2 years. So, all right,
sure, but you're not playing your backup goalie, right?
2's a coincidence, 3's a trend. So,
well, I mean, Allison's probably not going to be back there next year because they signed their next Allison. They just loaned him back to the team. So they did this year. I forget it. I don't know his name, but
does he like?
It's like he's Georgian.
Does he like grilled meats as much as Allison?
what's wrong with grilled meats?
Well, because that's the thing about Allison. He loves kebabs and things like that. So
Love kebabs.
So,
but if you're that consistent and you have, and like you said, you already said, like you mentioned it with Slot being very similar to Klopp, like a Klopp disciple, quote unquote. Like they play very similar ball. This team was built to play a Klopp style that is also a Slot style. So it's not like they had to do a complete rebuild and refresh of these players. You have Endo backing up Gravenbach, who's finally settled into the team, settled into England after a year. Like, they have the talent. They haven't had a ton of injuries. They've had a game out here and there, but nothing crazy. And so, like, you're playing the same game. You have the same players, and they've played together a crap ton. Like,
yeah, I think they have a lot of things going for them.
Yeah. You take out a couple of these players, though, and all of a sudden, you're starting.
I do think they deserve praise, though. I do think Liverpool deserves praise.
100%.
Yeah.
You still have to kick the ball in the goal.
And
you still have to play the game.
They're doing a great job of it.
And Salah's going off. 11 goals.
Do you guys think he's going to resign?
No. 100% no.
Not at all.
I think if this were a time, so he's out of contract next year, right?
No,
this year
in June.
Oh, so he can negotiate in January.
He could.
They may.
I think if there's a time for him to go to Saudi, it's probably getting close to that point. What's he? Probably 33?
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
32, 33. He's probably getting to that point of like taking the Saudi money and
the thing about him going to Saudi Arabia is that like he probably would like to live in
closer
Saudi
to home.
Yeah,
closer to home.
Closer to Egypt. It's the same
Yeah.
lifestyle. Yeah, it makes sense. But
similar lifestyle. Yep.
I mean, the only thing I could see is maybe he signs a bumper deal so that Liverpool can get a little money from him instead of losing him on a free.
Yeah.
But the way that he is talking, and maybe it's to get a deal done. Maybe it's put a little pressure on Liverpool.
They gave him a very good deal last contract.
They did.
And like something that Liverpool doesn't normally do. And they gave him a heck of a deal. What was he getting? Like 500,000, 400,000?
No,
it was something
like
insane.
I think it's like 350.
Yeah.
350.
But still, it's an incredible amount of money, and especially when he signed it the last time, it was kind of like it might have been time to cash in on him then, but
not something that Liverpool often does.
True. But the problem they have is the three that are out of contract, the Trent, Virgil, and Salah. Somehow they screwed up their contracts and allowed three of their most important players to come out of contract at the same time.
They've got they need to be hitting the table hard in the next 3 weeks. I mean, they got to be getting something done.
I mean, Virgil probably gets done.
You can't let him walk.
Trent is probably in.
You could get $80 million for all three, for any one of them.
Trent is probably in Madrid, and Salah's probably in Saudi. So you try to negotiate where you drop a buyout clause in there for those clubs that you negotiate that price. So they sign the deal. You won't get the full amount, but you get something for them.
Well, you talk about like them sign a deal and you put like a $20 million buyout
or something like you work something out where like, hey, I need some. Well, and Liverpool should get something because Trent is academy, right?
Yes,
they will get some form of money,
it's
not a ton, but
pittance
on what Trent is worth. But like, I don't know.
No, there's no way. There's no way you can let them walk. You gotta get something done at least for a 1 year to get 80, 70 million. You can't let $200 million walk off your team.
I think that there's a strong likelihood that it does.
Yeah,
So
I really
That
like
is
the only
insane
one.
bad.
The closest one is Virgil probably to staying.
he seems like he's the most likely to get to stay.
Yeah.
Because he's less flashy, and he like the thing about Salah is like the Saudi Arabia thing is always going to hang over his head, and it's like he's always going to be an option for Saudi Arabia. Trent
And they
is so
will
young,
drop the money.
so.
Trent is young, and look, there's tiers to these clubs, right? Like that's England is not Real Madrid. England is not Barcelona. As much as like England is the best league in the world, England is where you can make the second most money in the world. Like that white kit, that all white kit has meaning. That red and blue striped kit has meaning above what our clubs are. And like it sucks to say, but like
I don't think
it's truthful.
I don't think Barcelona does. I think that Real Madrid, but Barcelona no.
Maybe Barcelona
Chelsea.
did. Barcelona
maybe
has.
Chelsea.
Barcelona has in the past that like Barca is that tier of like those two.
So
clubs,
they sold all their
the
media
clubs
rights. They don't
everybody
even
tells
make.
about.
They don't even bring in the revenue that they used to because they sold all their media rights.
Just I'm like that's what it is. When those two clubs come in for a player, that player tends to go that way. So that's just my 2 cents on this. You know, it's getting spicy. Everything is still close.
Yeah.
You know, we're not title contenders because Arsenal's not a title contender, and we're on the same points they are.
True. This is
There
fact check true. Fact check true. That's all we're doing right now. Drop a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Right now, round 14 is going on. Wednesday has like 6 games or something like that. 7 games maybe. Thursday, tomorrow we'll have 2 games. So make sure you check that out. We will be back on Friday. We're going to preview round 15 for you. That's the weekend fixtures. And definitely hit us up on social medias. That guy over there is wherever he's at KS Brad G. Down below is at Whiteheart_Sean. I am at James Tiffany. Collectively, we are at redcard_radio. Yeah, we will be back later this week. We hope you guys enjoy it, and we will see you soon. Have a good one.